skipping stones on the bank where the tides rise and depart. You know I got your sun reflecting off my skin. I feel you hush in every storm again. Holy Ghost, following me so close, so close. Walking in steps, one step, two steps, closer than a shadow. Holy Ghost, following me What's hidden underneath? What can you see? Your eyes don't sleep. What's buried underneath? When you look inside of me, but can you see the spaces in between to see what's left of me from what's hidden underneath? What's hidden underneath? Crying and calling, fighting and falling, I can't catch a breath. The weight on my mind, struggles of life, every past regret. They're knocking on my door, they found me here before, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fight with my whole heart, fight. Ooh, I'm gonna fight with my whole heart, fight. I fight for my destiny.
Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. My name is Jared Bayless. I'm the worship pastor here. Welcome to a unique day. So if you guys are ready to stand up, don't do that, because you guys are so trained. Last service, they started standing up. But we are so glad if you're new here, we're really glad that you guys are here. We'd love to connect with you. You can go to a couple different ways you can connect with us. You can go to our website, elementchurch.life, and click on the I'm New Here tab, and then fill out the digital connection card, or there's going to be some stuff on the screen of ways that you can text in, and there's some stuff on the backs of some of the rows of the seats if you want some more information. We'd love just to connect with you, or you can meet somebody over in our living room. We have some staff and volunteers who'd love to meet you. Well, if you guys have called Element Church home and you gave to our year-end offering last year for iHeart Wyoming, which is our initiative to help partner with other churches around the state and reach more people, that is currently sitting at over $56,000, which is awesome. And we have begun to partner with 2 churches already this year, one in Gillette and one in Laramie, which is super awesome. So thank you guys so much for your generosity. And just remember that was sacrificial giving, because that was above and beyond your tithe. So that is awesome, and a great reminder that God blesses not only our church through that, but he blesses you by that. He honors those disciplines. Well, speaking of giving, if you're new here or you're unable to give, don't feel obligated at all to do so. But there are some ways on the screen if you guys feel led. We do feel here that giving is a part of our worship. But, okay, so this is Worship Sunday. We have never done this before. So bear with us here. So I'm going to kind of explain what this is going to kind of look like. So Worship Sunday, we have decided we're going to, there's not really one speaker. There isn't one speaker who's going to get up and give a sermon. And some of you are like, yes. But here's potentially the bad news is that we are the sermon. And some of you are like, no. But what we're going to actually do, we're going to walk through the story of Gideon, and we're going to kind of dissect some of those parts, and we're going to see how that applies to us, and then we're going to worship through some of that. So what that's going to require is we're going to have you guys stand up and sit down a decent amount. So if you have a Catholic background, you're going to be a champion for us. Just look around, help people, remind them to use their core, bend with their knees, not with their back. You're going to get us through this. So you're going to hear from some people up here that you don't normally get to hear from, and we're going to have our phones out for notes, not because we're checking text messages or our social media and we're super bored with you all, but there's going to be times we're going to ask you guys to maybe to wrestle with things in silence, or maybe you need to worship in surrender, or maybe you just need to worship in thankfulness. But Ken, I ask you guys just to lean in with us, and we'll make this whatever God wants this to be today, because we've never done it. All right, well, okay, all right, the golf clap. I take that. I'll take the golf clap. All right, but no, we'll just lean in. We're gonna have God make this whatever He wants it to be. So, all right, so a little bit of backstory of the story of Gideon. There is these people called the Midianites, and so they led Israel into idolatry. And so God had Moses destroy the kingdom of Midian because of this. And so Moses goes and destroys the kingdom of Midian. They scatter amongst all these countries, and it said that Midian never forgot what Israel had done to them. Well, several years have passed, and Israel goes right back into idolatry. And guess who God uses to teach them a lesson? The Midianites. So they all assemble from all their countries like Avengers, but the bad ones, whatever. But then God hands Israel over to Midian. And that's where we pick up in our story, starting in Judges chapter 6, 1 through 10. It says this: the Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight, so the Lord handed them over to the Midianites for 7 years. The Midianites were so cruel that the Israelites made hiding places for themselves in the mountains, caves, and strongholds. Oh boy, hang on. There we go. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, marauders from Midian, Amalek, and the people of the east would attack Israel, camping in the land and destroying the crops as far away as Gaza. They arrived on droves of camels. Oh boy. Man, I should welcome to, we're in this together. Let's see. Let's go back one slide. Let's just get my phone out here. Hang on just a minute. I'm going to check my social media. Just kidding. Okay, there we go. We'll try this again. Okay, and they, too numerous to count, and they stayed until the land was stripped bare. So Israel was reduced to starvation by the Midianites. Then the Israelites cried out to the Lord for help. When they cried out to the Lord because of Midian, the Lord sent a prophet to the Israelites. He said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of slavery in Egypt. I rescued you from the Egyptians and from all who oppressed you. I drove out your enemies and gave you their land. I told you, I am the Lord your God. You must not worship the gods of the Amorites in whose land you now live. But you have not listened to me." And how often are we not like Israel? I mean, we get delivered from what entangles us. We say thanks, and then we go right back to wandering back to where we shouldn't have been. And then we ask God to save us. Or we question God. And we become like George Costanza on Seinfeld, where we ask him, like, I thought you didn't believe in God. And he says, I do for the bad stuff. And that becomes us, right? And we get involved in, and we go back to the things that we shouldn't be involved with, back with the people that we shouldn't be with, roaming where God isn't. And then we want out. And it's kind of like this analogy of we're on top of a mountain, and God says, don't go over to the ledge and to the cliff. And we don't listen. And we go walking along the edge and the cliff, and we nearly slip and we fall. And then we say to God, hey, I think I don't want to be near the edge anymore, and I can't get back up the mountain. Will you help me? And then we kind of get this idea that God is going to bless us for that. And we get kind of arrogant. We think like, just know how strong I was. I was actually like able to know that I wanted to get away from the edge. And God says, how quickly you have forgotten the broken marriage that I have restored, or the sickness I have healed in you, or the boundaries and the barriers that I put up because I love you. How quickly you have forgotten that my son has been murdered for you. And no, I will not bless you for where you should not have been in the first place. But I will save you because I still love you. And oftentimes we want God to rescue us from where we should not have been in the first place. And sometimes we kind of need to own up to some of our faithlessness and our wandering. So in this first song, we're going to do some inventory. And we're going to kind of own up to some of that faithlessness and some of the things and some of the places that we are involved in that we shouldn't be. Because a lot of us have built this foundation for our soul with things that are rotting and things that cannot hold the weight of that. And only Jesus can be there. So maybe this first song is simply removing what is rotten and what you know shouldn't be there. But let me tell you, you may not be blessed for that, but it doesn't mean that's not right still. Because some of the first part is to remove that and start replacing it with Jesus. Because sometimes we have been roaming where we shouldn't have been in the first place. So let's make our way back and kind of own up to this. If you guys need to sit in surrender, that's great. In reflection, in silence, that's great. In prayer, that's great. If you are rejoicing because you have already done that and you just want to sing out in thankfulness because where God has taken you, do that. But if you guys would stand with us, and we're going to worship through this together. Lord, you search me, how you know me. You perceive my every thought from afar. In all my wandering, still you love me. King of glory, you pursue my anxious heart. Even when I'm not too faithful, even when I doubt your truth, even when I'm lost, you won't let me go. When my heart is dry, your grace flows. No matter where I run, I'm not far from home. Yeah, I may be weak, but you're able. Even when I'm not, you're faithful. Even when I'm not, you're faithful. Lord, you search me, how you know me. You perceive my every thought from afar. And all my wandering, still you love me. King of glory, you pursue my anxious heart. Sing it out. Even when I'm not your faithful, even when I doubt your truth, even when I'm lost, you won't let me go. When my heart is dry, your grace flows. No matter where I run, I'm not far from home. Yeah, I may be weak, but you're able. Even when I'm not, you're faithful. Even when I'm not, you're faithful. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I hide from your face? Where can I flee from your presence? Where would I go? Where would I go? If I rise to the heavens, you're with me. If I fall to the depths of the sea, even there it's your hand that will lead me. Wherever I go, wherever I go. Where can I go from the spirit? Where can I hide from your face? Where can I flee from your presence? Where would I go? Where would I go? If I rise to the heavens, you're with me. If I fall to the depths of the sea, even there it's your hand that will lead me. Wherever I go, wherever I go. Even when I'm not your faithful, even when I doubt your truth, even when I'm lost, you won't let me go. When my heart is dry, your grace flows. No matter where I run, I'm not far from home. Yeah, I may be weak, but you're able. Even when I'm not, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I hide from your face? Where can I flee from your presence? Where would I go? Where would I go? If I rise to the heavens, you're with me. If I fall to the depths of the sea, even there is your hand that will lead me. Wherever I go, wherever I go. ahead and find your seats.
Well, I am not in any capacity a public speaker, so if I look your general direction, please don't make eye contact with me. We're going to pick up in Judges 6, verse 11. The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Ophrah that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to hide it from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." "Pardon me, my lord," Gideon replied, "but if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian." The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you?" "Pardon me, my lord," Gideon replied, "but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." The Lord answered, "I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive." Woo. Have you ever had a nope moment where too much was asked of you, too much was put on you, and you were just like, "No, no, no, not today, no, Well, this was Gideon's nope moment. See, the Midianites had bullied the Israelites to the brink of starvation, and they were living in caves. And instead of fighting back, instead of defending the women and the children, here's Gideon hiding in a wine press, threshing wheat. This is how you thresh wheat, I guess. I don't know. And suddenly, bam, an angel appears. "Greetings, mighty warrior, the Lord is with you." And immediately, without skipping a beat, Gideon starts telling God why he cannot do what is being asked of him. "Mighty warrior? No, I'm not a mighty warrior. Save Israel? No, not me. I'm just a nobody from a family of nobodies, just a regular guy trying to get through these very difficult times." Feels kind of familiar, doesn't it? And so often we let our circumstances define who we are. And what we often forget, and what Gideon wasn't remembering either, was that God oftentimes does not address us as we are. He gives us a different name entirely. He is not speaking to the person we are now, right now. He's speaking to the person that we will become. He speaks into our future. If you call yourself a believer, a follower of Christ, it is time to stop finding your identity in your circumstances. You are not just a single mom. You are not just a high school student. You are not just a middle-aged divorcee. You are not just someone with a disability. All of you, sons and daughters of the King. And if we believe that, truly believe that, your potential would be limitless. If you are sitting here today and you have a pulse, sorry, not sorry, you have been chosen. You are who He says you are. Not who I say you are, not who society says you are, not who your job says you are, your friends or family say you are, who He says you are. I think Gideon wasn't just afraid of going to battle with the Midianites, which would be terrifying. I think he was afraid in that moment of doing what God was asking him to do. Move, act, get out of that wine press. And so often we settle for living in the wine presses and the caves because it might not be the best, but it's familiar and it's somewhat comfortable, and I can keep my head down and coast and don't ask too much of me because that's not my problem. But what's amazing is that God is so patient with Gideon too. He said, "Go with the strength you have." He didn't say, "You know what, never mind. Come back when you're at your best and your strongest." No, he said, "Go with the strength you have. He will work with what you have." And oftentimes he's not asking us to go out and conquer armies right away. Sometimes he's just asking us to take one step, and then maybe one more, and then maybe another. And if we are faithful in the smallest of ways, He will be faithful in the biggest of ways. Why did God choose the little guy hiding in the wine press? Well, for one, I think God likes to show off. He likes a good underdog story. But I also think that He had a name for Gideon. Gideon didn't know it at the time. His name was Mighty Warrior. And I think what Gideon was forgetting was that God was not speaking to him as he was. God was speaking into his future. My favorite author, Christine Kane, says, "Impossible is where God starts." So maybe you're here today and the band's going to get ready to sing this next song, and maybe you are already there. You're like, "Yes, I know this. I know my name. I am there for it. Let's go, God. Or maybe you're here today and it took everything you had just to get out of bed this morning. If that's the case, that's all right. God knows where you are. And maybe, just maybe, your first step is to acknowledge that and admit, I'm ready to stop believing the lie that I am just a fill in the blank. So wherever you are, if you're here, if you're online, and you don't feel like standing up and singing, that's fine. No one will think anything less of you if you are sitting in your seat, because you are still worshiping, and this is a place to call home. So if you guys are able, if you're ready and willing, let's stand and sing this next song together. Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but He brought me in His love for me. Oh, His love for me. Whom the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, He has ransomed guys sounded amazing. Go ahead and find your seats.
All right, so continuing on with the story. See, Gideon was arguing with God, and in fact, he wasn't even sure he was talking to God. So he asked God, straight to him, said, if this is really you talking to me, would you give me a sign? And the Lord said, I'll give you a sign. Why don't you bring out an offering? So Gideon went and got an offering, and the angel of the Lord said, put it right here on this rock. And as he did, the angel of the Lord touched it with his staff, and the rock burst into flames, and it covered the offering. And Gideon knew right at that moment that he was talking to God. And so he bent down and he worshiped him, and he built an altar to him. And he knew right then and said, okay, I'm going to be obedient. And God said, all right, here is your first command. And it was a doozy. So now we pick it up at verse 25. That night the Lord said to Gideon, take the second bull from your father's herd, the one that is 7 years old. Pull down your father's altar to Baal and cut down the Asherah pole standing beside it. Then build an altar to the Lord your God here on this hilltop sanctuary, laying the stones carefully. Sacrifice the bull as a burnt offering on the altar, using as fuel the wood of the Asherah pole you just cut down. So Gideon took 10 of his servants and did as the Lord commanded. But he did it at night because he was afraid of the other members of his father's household and the people of the town. Early the next morning, as the people of the town began to stir, someone discovered that the altar of Baal had been broken down and that the Asherah pole beside it had been cut down. In their place, a new altar had been built, and on it were the remains of the bull that had been sacrificed. The people said to each other, who did this? And after asking around and making a careful search, they learned that it was Gideon, the son of Joash. Bring out your son, the men of the town demanded of Joash. He must die for destroying the altar of Baal and for cutting down the Asherah pole. But Joash shouted to the mob that confronted him, why are you defending Baal? Will you argue his case? Whoever pleads his case will be put to death by morning. If Baal truly is a god, let him defend himself and destroy the one who broke down his altar. From then on, Gideon was called Jerubbaal, which means let Baal defend himself, because he broke down Baal's altar. So like I said, this command was a big deal, because Gideon knew and understood how important this altar and this worship had become to his community and to his father even. His father found it so important that he built the altar on his property. Wouldn't it be great if God called us to do something that was unpopular like that, do it anonymously? Like he could have told Gideon, go over to that village over there and take down their altar in the dead of night, and then come back home, and nobody will be the wiser, and you'll be safe. But it's a totally different thing when we are to confront those closest to us and stand in obedience against those beliefs and those behaviors. So realizing how serious and how dangerous this could be, Gideon made two decisions. The first decision was he decided he was going to ask 10 servants to help him. Now, in my opinion, in this section of the story, this is probably the most important thing to me, because when I have stepped out in faith and I said, okay, God, I am going to be obedient, and maybe you've experienced this as well, you say, okay, I didn't even believe that I'm the right person for the job. I didn't think I could do this, and yet here you are saying, nope, you can do it. I don't know where to start. I mean, what do I do? And so God, in his wisdom and his grace and his mercy, puts people right in my path, right at the right time when I need that. And that's what he did for Gideon. He put these 10 servants in his path that were willing to stand with him. Not only stand with him, they were willing to actually take down the altar with him, knowing that there were going to be consequences. As we read, death. And so it's a comfort to know that when God calls us, not only is he with us and he has our back, but when we feel alone and when we feel we can't accomplish this, he's going to put people in our path that will help us. And that's what he did for Gideon. The second choice that Gideon made, or decision that Gideon made, was to tear down the altar at night. You see, he was afraid, as we read. And that fear was something that is so strong, like it is in all of us. You know, fear is a strong emotion. It makes people run away from things that maybe they shouldn't. Makes them do things that they probably wouldn't do. And so this is something that Gideon was experiencing as well. So when God gives us something to do and we follow him and we feel like, okay, this is a God thing, that I am going to step out in obedience to him because he has called me into it, that doesn't mean it takes that fear away. We're still human and we're still going to feel that. And so Gideon felt that and used it to actually accomplish what God had wanted him to do. So I don't know where you are in your walk with God right now. I don't know if God is calling you out and asking you to get out of your comfort zone. But, I do know that the people who step out in obedience and have faith are the ones that we call the risk takers. They're the ones that believe in God beyond their wildest imagination. In fact, some of my favorite stories of the Bible are the ones that bold faith is put on display. And I believe that each of us are called to do something for God's kingdom. God is calling each of us to action. And the only step forward is with that obedience and with that faith. And if we do take that step, we have an adventure that is waiting for us beyond our imaginations. So we're going to sing 2 more songs here. And again, I don't know where you are, if you're arguing with God, if maybe you're ignoring God. Then let's take this time and sing to him and worship and remember the sacrifice. Remember the promise and the grace and the mercy that he has shown each of us. And also stand and declare, make this a declaration that God, yes, I'm afraid. Yes, I feel like I am not worthy of this and I can't handle this and I don't know what to do. But despite all that, despite the uncertainty, we're going to stand and we're going to remember your promises, Lord, because you are over everything. So let's stand and sing.
When trials come our way, sorrows. You have overcome the trials of your promises. Standing on your promises. How wide, how long, how deep is your love for us? How wide, how long, how deep is your love for us? Standing on your promises. Take us where your presence is. Your word remains when all else fades away. We're standing on your promises. Every step of Genesis. The world will fade, but in you we will remain. You remain. Yeah. Standing on your promises. You remain. You tell mountains they must fall and they fall. You tell oceans to be still and they're calm. You tell sickness it must leave and it's gone. In my weakness, God, I know you are strong. Sing this together. You are the one above it all. I stand in awe. You're the God over all. I know no higher name, no greater throne. You stand alone. You're the God over all. I know. Over all I know. You tell broken things be healed and they're whole. Oh, sing it in faith. You tell fear it has no face, it must flow. You tell death it has no chance, it won't win. And if you are for me, God, what can come again? You are the one above it all. I stand in awe. You're the God over all. I know no higher name, no greater throne. You stand alone. You're the God over all. I know you are the one above it all. I stand in awe. You're the God over all. I know no higher name, no greater throne. You stand alone. You're the God over all. I know. I believe it, Lord. I've seen it. I believe it. I have seen it. My God is over all. I believe it. I have seen it.
my God is over all. Let's lift it up. I believe it. I have seen it. My God is over all. Yeah, I believe it. I have seen it. My God is over all. You are the one above it all. Standing on God over all. I know no higher name, no greater throne. Stand alone, you're God over all. I know you are the one above it all. Standing on, you're God over all. No higher name, no greater throne. Stand alone, you're God over all. I know. Let's sing this together. I believe it. I believe. One more time. I believe it. I receive it. My God is over all. Yeah.
You guys can go ahead and have a seat. Well, let's finish up this story. Well, a little bit of backstory. We can't read all of this story. There's so much to it, but Gideon is still in doubt, and he says to God, okay, give me another sign. How about this? I'm going to put a fleece out, and then in the morning, if I come out and the ground is dry and the fleece is wet, then I will go to war. And God does it. And then Gideon's like, okay, wait, hang on. Let's flip that. Let's do the ground is wet and the fleece is dry. Ooh, yeah, then if I do that, then I'll go to war. Well, God does it. And Gideon's like, well, I guess I'm not dressed for war. I better get ready for war. So he goes and he gets ready for war, which picks us up in Judges chapter 7. And it says this: the Lord said to Gideon, you have too many warriors with you. If I let all of you fight the Midianites, the Israelites will boast to me that they saved themselves by their own strength. Therefore, tell the people, whoever is timid or afraid may leave this mountain and go home. So 22,000 of them went home. That's a lot, lots. Leaving only 10,000 who were willing to fight. But the Lord told Gideon, there are still too many. Bring them down to the spring, and I will test them to determine who will go with you and who will not. When Gideon took his warriors down to the water, the Lord told him, divide the men into two groups. In one group, put all those who cup water in their hands and lap it up with their tongues like dogs. In the other group, put all those who kneel down and drink with their mouths in the stream. Only 300 of the men drank from their hands. All the others got down on their knees and drank with their mouths in the stream. The Lord told Gideon, with these 300 men, I will rescue you and give you victory over the Midianites. Send all the others home. Now, there's a little part in here where Gideon still needs confirmation. God does that inside of this whole dream. You can go read it on your own. It motivates Gideon, and he's ready to go. Jump into verse 16. It says, he divided the 300 men into three groups and gave each man a ram's horn and a clay jar with a torch in it. Then he said to them, keep your eyes on me. When I come to the edge of the camp, do just as I do. As soon as I and those with me blow the ram's horns, blow your horns too, all around the entire camp, and shout, for the Lord, and for Gideon, and for Frodo. And it was just after midnight, after the changing of the guard, when Gideon and the 100 men with him reached the edge of the Midianite camp. Suddenly they blew the ram's horns and broke their clay jars. Then all three groups blew their horns and broke their jars. They held the blazing torches in their left hands and the horns in their right hands, and they all shouted, a sword for the Lord and for Gideon. Each man stood at his position around the camp and watched as all the Midianites rushed around in a panic, shouting as they ran to escape. And then in between there, Gideon and Israel would go hunt down and chase down the Midianites. And then it leads to chapter 8, and the end of the story. It says, that is the story of how the people of Israel defeated Midian, which never recovered. Throughout the rest of Gideon's lifetime, about 40 years, there was peace in the land. And I'm often reminded that there's 9 times in this story that Gideon shows fear. 9 times. Despite, Gideon had all these doubts, and despite God rescuing him and performing miracles in front of him, even talking to him, Gideon still doubted. He just needed more reassurance, but does this not sound like us? That we're still just like, yeah, I know, God, you did all that stuff, but I'm still not sure. But God is patient. He was patient with Gideon. Did you notice that inside of all of this, all these times that Gideon needed reassurance after reassurance, never once inside of that God said, forget it, I'll get somebody else. No, God was patient with him because he saw Gideon for who he would become, not who he was in that moment. Because in that moment, Gideon was a coward. But God did not see a coward. He saw a warrior who needed some reassurance, and he would wait for that warrior to come out. So I don't know if you're here and you have been running from, excusing away the purpose that God has for you, but maybe it's time to take a step forward and embrace who you will become. Or maybe praise God for who you have become and seeing all the blessings. And if you are the parent, you are not the parent that you know you need to be, he'll wait. And if you're not the spouse that you know you need to be, he'll wait. If you're not the student that you know you should be, he'll wait. And if you're not the business owner, the teacher, the leader, the whatever it is that you know you need to be, he'll wait. But I will tell you, at some point, he will call you to act and to move and to grow, and you cannot stay where you are at. And oftentimes, we're just waiting on the right amount of resources, and then we'll do it, right? Well, if you're waiting on resources, you might be waiting a little bit, because Gideon had an overabundance of resources, and God removed them, because he wanted Gideon to trust him and him alone. So sometimes we are waiting out of fear. And God doesn't want the established leader. He wants the warrior inside of each one of us. So let me tell you that even though God seems distant sometimes, never, ever stray away from him. Even in the darkest times, the most chaotic times of your life, don't walk away. And somebody needs to hear this. You are in the darkest season of your life. It is chaotic and you don't know how you're going to get up the next morning. You're not alone. So don't think that you're alone. And somebody needs to hear this. Get away from the edge. You're not supposed to be there. God does not have your best interest. They will not be there. There is no life there. The people that you're with, the circumstances that you're with, you're towing the line and you think that you're going to get away with it. But God says, get away from the edge. There is not life there. Stick close to God. He will never leave you. And look, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to doubt. And it's okay to not know what God has for you next. But you can't stay there. You've got to get away from the cliff. There is only so much time that we are given. And so, maybe you want to see a victory. Well, maybe the victory starts inside of you first. That is the first victory. Take a step, just one step. You are not going to accomplish what you want in just one leap and bound. Take one step, just one. Get out of the wine press. And so maybe we need to claim some victory today. But we stand on the promises of God. But just know, victory comes inside of Jesus. And when we try to take it in the world will fail us. Time and time again, despite all of its charms, the world does not have eternal value for us. And that's the way God has it set up. So get away from the edge. Draw near to God. And let's claim victory over what that is right now. So would you guys stand with us and let's worship through that.
The weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, I know it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My
One thing I did not plan on was I had to talk after doing that. But I'm good with that. I'm secure in myself, so it's okay. We have one more song, but before we do that, there's something powerful about reading scripture together out loud. Now, we're going to do that real quick. So, don't over spiritualize it. We all know the phonies, so just, say it. Just come from what's from the heart, So that was supposed to be a joke. Cool. But we're going to read together out loud. So Michelle is going to lead us.
Church, please read with me Colossians 3, 1-3. Since you have been raised to new life with Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Christ sits in the place of honor at God's right hand. Think about the things of heaven, not the things of the earth, for you died to this life, and your life is hidden with Christ in God.
It's a reminder to focus on the realities of heaven. The realities of earth are temporary. Don't put eternal value on temporary things. And that we just need to focus on the things of heaven, not the things of earth. So we're going to sing one more song. I know you guys know this one. Really lean in. If you know it, please. We'd love to hear you guys sing, and we're going to send you guys on out with this.
Wanna be close to your side. Heaven is real, death is a lie. I wanna hear voices of angels above, singing as one. Hallelujah.
Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys enjoyed Worship Sunday. If you guys need prayer for anything, there is a prayer tent in the back. We'd love to pray for you for anything. Thank you guys so much. You are dismissed.
Comes and goes in waves. It always runs back, but it's never quite the same. Well, I think there's something wrong with me. Got nothing to believe, can't you see it on my face? I was going for the title, got it by your tidal wave. Can't stay in the shallows, please tell me I won't wash away. When it pulls me under, will you make me stronger? Will you be my breath through the deep, deep water? Take me farther, give me one day longer. Will you be my breath through the deep, deep water? Scratch the surface, thinking I deserve the dream, but I don't deserve the hurting. I want the flame without the burning, but I can't find my purpose when I don't know what my worth is. I was going for the title, got it by your tidal wave. Can't stay in the shallows, please tell me I won't wash away. When it pulls me under, will you make me stronger? Will you be my breath through the deep, deep water? Take me farther, give me one
blood in the skyscraper town. You gave all that sweat and blood, now you think you're gonna drown. You can't tell that you're bigger than the sea that you're sinking in. And you don't know what you got, but you got it at your fingertips. You got it in you. You got it in you. When the lights go out and leave you standing in the dark, no one ever told you this would be so hard. I know you think your fire is burning out, but I still see you shining through. You got it in you. Not everything you hear should sound like the truth, 'cause nobody else's words can define you. Maybe you don't see it, but you're quicker than the world can spin. You should know what you got, 'cause you got it at your fingertips. Ooh, you got it in you. Ooh, you got it in you. When the lights go out and leave you standing in the dark, no one ever told you this would be so hard. I know you think your fire is burning out, but I still see you shining through. You got it in you. When the lights go out and leave you standing in the dark, no one ever told you this would be so hard. I know you think your fire is burning out, but I still see you shining through. You got it in you. You got it in you.
Give me that sunshine, sunshine. Give me them good times, good times. Nothing but good vibes, good vibes. Give me that sunshine, sunshine. Every day is a new beginning. Every day is a gift to hold up high. Everyone has a weight to carry. Everyone has sunshine, sunshine. Give me them good times, good times. Nothing but good vibes, good vibes. Give me that sunshine, sunshine. Bring on the summertime. Bring on the summertime. Bring on the summertime. Bring on the summertime.
Try to tell me everything's alright, but I don't know if I can close my eyes tonight. You try to tell me everything's alright, but I don't know if I can close my eyes tonight. One day there'll be no more suffering, and one day there'll be rest for me, but not today.
Even when I feel my hope is gone, you hold me up and strength to carry on.
One day there'll be no more suffering, and one day there'll be rest for me, but not today. One day there'll be no more suffering, and one day there'll be rest for me, and I won't walk alone, and I won't be afraid, 'cause love will come down, and love will save me. And I won't walk alone, and I won't be afraid, 'cause love will come down, and love will save me. One day there'll be no more suffering, and one day there'll be rest for me, but not today. So one day there'll be no more suffering, and one day there'll be rest for me. So I will never to die. Reason I'm alive, love of my life. You gave your life so I could finally find mine. By your name, we come alive. Shackles become all the lost shall be found in his holy name. The God of salvation, he'll defend and keep safe all who call upon his name. To all those who are lost and can't seem to find a way, know that he is God, and all creation shouts his praise. One day he'll come again in glory to take all our pain away. But until that day comes, I will trust in all his ways.